welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is February 11th, 2026. Happy VE33 day. It's voting day, okay? So I have the perfect tweet to talk about on voting day, and that is this tweet. Now, this tweet is from a little while ago, the February 4th. They launched on Ramses, or like I like to say, Rameses. They launched these things called auto votes. I have talked about them and I am using them, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is today is the first day that the auto votes will actually function in prod. Today, if you already have your XRAM in here, or if you put it in here before the voting epoch flip, this thing will vote for you, take all of your bribes, and turn it into a single token of your choice. So whether that be USDC, USDT, or Hype token, because it's on Hyper EVM right now. And I'm sure they're going to put it on the other chains as well that have Ramses when they start to upgrade everything all over there. So anyhow, check it out. I think it's totally awesome, and it's probably my favorite thing to come out in a little while. Okay, now it's not the best, most complicated thing, but it is really useful and very nice. Okay, so check it out. Let's move on. Here we have Ryan from Bankless. I like some of the tweets he talks about. He tends to stay pretty macro in this sense. So let's see what he says here. Okay, if you're using another country's ledger, you're giving them your sovereignty. This is why the world will adopt Ethereum and Bitcoin. Digital ledgers no one controls. So what is he talking about? So Europe is now saying they don't like America, and they don't want to use Visa and MasterCard because Visa and MasterCard is telling America basically what Europeans want to buy. So giving, market information to America about Europeans, and they want to stop this. So I assume that they're going to try to make their own credit card, and that's going to be fun because then that means, Europeans want to travel to other countries. There's going to be another card, another thing, another system, and it's not going to probably be completely compatible. So that's going to suck bad. But on the other hand, you can just use crypto, and hopefully we can just get crypto everywhere instead of having to do this. Like, I'm not talking about crypto Visa cards either. I'm talking about like actually using just like stable coins to pay for things. That would be nice. But anyhow, there's that. So if you're in Europe, have fun losing your Visa card, if that's actually going to happen. Now, I'm sure they won't like just ban it. They'll just try to like phase it out, I assume, depending on which European country you're in. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Here we have FX Protocol. This is a pretty cool thing. Okay, what this is what I understand it. I haven't really dug deep into this, but basically, they call these things the boosters, and basically every I think epoch, I guess it's every month or so, they have a whole bunch of FXN tokens, and they just kind of give them to the community members for doing stuff. I do believe that I'll get some of these in the future, and as far as I know, it's like automated in the sense that like somebody is just like running this thing. Like you don't have to like I guess you don't have to like sign up or anything. Like you just kind of have to do it, and then they'll kind of reach out to you, I guess. But it does say you want in on the next round, ship great threads, videos, memes, content, and post them on Echo Market. So I'm going to check out this Echo Market after the call here and find out what this thing is and how this thing works, because I did do a video on FX a little while ago, and I do believe that it was pretty good, and maybe I should get myself a little bit of FXN tokens, which is nice. So I love it when communities do this kind of stuff. They have like set aside tokens for community, and they have a system in place where you can produce content, and if it's effective or intelligent, then you can get some tokens. And it doesn't need to go through Kaito or some sort of like other amplification, or because this is what this is. The difference between this and Kaito is that people who are in the community and looking at the protocol are the people who get paid. Whereas with Kaito, you have just guys whose job it is to just search the board for the best ROI and just produce content. And it's very different. Like the people, I assume, like I don't know, I guess I could kind of go through each one of these and see if I know any of them. But I'm sure like some of these people, they're actually part of the FX community. They use the protocol and they're just sharing what their experience with it and how they use it and what they do with it. And as a result, they get some governance power over the protocol, which is fantastic. So you can check that out. Anyhow, let's move on. Okay, so here we have HelloMen.hl Pro DeFi. Okay. He's talking about yield basis again. Now, again, yield basis is one of the protocols that I like to use. I do hold yield basis tokens and so forth. But so this is interesting. So please don't do this, but I will share it and let you know what it is. So he's like, 1 day left to lock yield basis tokens to get the future, 4 weeks, 100% APR on real tokens. So in the past little while, like if you look at this chart, okay, you can see like this is basically the piled up tokens. So we've got WBTC, we've got Coinbase BTC, we've got TBTC, we've got yield basis WBTC, and then other tokens. So basically there are trading fees, and when you have like charts like of volatility, so I did forget to show the charts today. Let's kind of hop in there and I'll open that up so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So if we go to BTC USD, for the most part, there's been quite a bit of volume down here, right? And so this volume is creating trading fees, right? And those trading fees are collected by yield basis and sent to the yield basis token holders. Well, not all of them, but some of them, right? I'd have to watch my video to see the exact number again, but they are set aside and then they're streamed out to the people who have yield basis locked VEY basis. So you've locked your yield basis. Now you can use a liquid locker like the one on Yearn Finance or on StakedOut if you want to use that instead of locking your tokens and holding the VE token lock. So you can do that instead. But so yeah, so the point is that they collect all those trading fees, but they don't give them out in real time. They kind of hold them aside and then they stream them out over time, right? So like they separate them out and kind of divvy them up. So it's not all just like 1 week of crazy APR and then the next couple of weeks of little APR and then 1 week of crazy APR. They kind of just spread it out. So that's why he's talking about over the future 4 weeks, okay? So check it out, consider it, think about it. If you hold yield basis tokens already, it's kind of probably a good idea to think of this. Now, if you don't hold yield basis tokens, that's up to you. You want to buy these tokens, then that's on you. You decide if you want to do that. Let's move on to Scoopy Trooples. Okay, Scoopy Trooples is the lead witch at Alchemist or Alchemix Finance. Okay, a protocol I love. But anyhow, let's go. Today we're not talking about Alchemix. We're talking about what he's saying here. He says, I believe in the separation of money and state. So it's kind of like what Ryan was talking about with Ethereum and Bitcoin and Visa. Thus, I believe in cryptocurrency. I don't want infinite money monopoly. Infinite supply monopoly money that banks can print out of thin air and just as easily seized. I want digital ownerships and self-sovereignty in a currency that is not issued or controlled by a corrupt or captured central entity. Wall Street's vision for blockchain as an asset storage layer for the assets they already control is lame as F, and a surveillance nightmare that stands against the values of this space was built on. Sucking up to them in the hopes that they will anoint you and make you rich too is even lamer. So this is kind of the theme that I'm going to kind of come back to as I bump into tweets along the row of tweets up at the top here. And like I agree with him completely. Like I live in a country where basically there are five, like I live in Canada and there's like 5 big banks and they control everything. They have complete control over everything that has to do with financial instruments. They just like, oh, it's safer, let us control it. They're too big to fail. The government will bail them out no matter what. It's just everybody's just suckling on those big 5 bank teats, and they're just unstoppable. I use some crypto apps. I had an app recently. It's called WireX. It's a centralized Visa lending platform where you can hold crypto. You can deposit USDC and USDT into like earning like around 7 to 9% APR. It's centralized, so I was only doing it with a small amount of money that I was then using to spend through this Visa card. So when I moved back here from where I was living before, I was using it for many years, and then they eventually just froze everything. And then I had to like message them. It was a terrible user experience. Like takes days for them to answer me. Sometimes they never answer me, and so forth. And it's all through emails, so it's like just your email address is swarmed with shit. So yeah, so then eventually I found out that they're not allowed to provide me with this service. There's another app, the crypto.com app that I have on my phone. If I sign up for this app in another country, then I can use like DeFi on it to some extent. It's not the same. Again, it's a centralized app, right? So it's not actual DeFi, but like you can tell it to lend your USDC on Morphle, for example, or you can lend it inside their app and get some APR as well, right? And then use their credit card and stuff like that as well. However, if you sign up as a Canadian, then you can't access that stuff. And the total bullshit part about it is the code is already vetted and usable. It's just a matter of the government or the regulators not letting me use it because the big banks are using it. And this speaks to what he's talking about slightly. It's an extra little bit of information about this. Now, what he's talking more about is like, all these big banks are coming into the system and everybody's like, oh, BlackRock's here. Oh, so awesome. They're going to pump our bags. But he's like, try to think about the bigger picture. Like we don't want them to take over. I saw a tweet yesterday. I think it was Gabriel Saprio. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him. Let's see if I can quickly find it. Okay, let's quickly hop through here. I should have prepared this, but I wasn't thinking about it. So if I go to Gabriel Saprio, and let's see, I probably won't be able to find it. So anyways, he did a tweet that said basically like somebody was like talking about they were I can probably find it in the replies, in my own replies. Yeah, here it is. So it's like, this is a very good breakdown of a massive overhead added by Canton to tokenization of enterprise workflows solely to have privacy and dubiously ideas like. So that's kind of hard to understand, but let's just read that one sentence that follows this and you'll get the idea. It should not be possible for someone unauthorized to even try to call a function. So like they want complete control. So yeah, okay, maybe they'll make an L2 or an alternate L1, right? Where you can't even call functions unless you are the person who has the power to call those functions. That's ridiculous. That's crazy, right? Like it's called like there's a benefit to public transactions, public function calls, like liquidations and other things like rebalances or little things where you pay someone a tiny incentive to just call this thing for us, so that you don't have to build a keeper network. You can just let the public be the keeper networks. Now there are of course other things where you don't want people doing that, like you don't want people withdrawing funds for you, right? Or this kind of stuff. But it's very standard now to differentiate between public calls and private calls or permissioned calls. It's not hard to do that. So if you were to try to call a function and not have permission to call it, your transaction would revert and you would waste gas. So people don't call it. And if people try to call it, then they pay money to waste their money. There is no reason to create a blockchain that's like, no, let's make it completely controllable. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Now, of course, there are hacks, and maybe that's kind of where it's getting to. But anyhow, so there is those. So you can think about this kind of idea. And see what you come up with. Okay, so let's move on to some back to DeFi a little bit, and then we'll come back to this stuff later. So iPor. iPor is a project that I really like. I've got 2 videos on iPor. You can check out my channel here, Ceazor Snack Sandwich, iPor Labs, and then more importantly, this one here, iPor Fusion Vaults. Okay, iPor Fusion Vaults are pretty interesting. If I go to the video here and I kind of scroll back, so that's why I love my videos, is because I can always just watch them and get a good refresher on what things going. So what makes iPor Vaults very special is they have these fuses, which are immutable, like strategies, basically. So here are the yield farms, the places where these are external protocols, basically, where you can deploy your assets and get yield. These are fuses that interact, that send funds to those places, but these fuses are immutable, okay? And then here are vaults, and the vaults can, decide which fuses they want to use, and the users can deposit into which vaults they want to deposit, okay? So that's a pretty, really rough overview of what's going on here. But what's important here is what Jordy's talking about in this article by iPor Fusion. You can read this. I'll link to this. You can go through this, go through some details. But basically, they are preparing themselves for the new Aave system. So the new Aave system is basically, they have this liquidity hub in the middle, which is basically like Aave v4, and then they have all these spokes where they can have some specific details. So maybe they can, in this spoke here, they will allow some exotic collaterals, or in this spoke they will be incentivized by some specific reward token or what have you. So you can go through this article, and I'm going to go through it myself actually and take a quick look at it, and you can get a better understanding of what's going on with iPor, and then you'll understand what's going on with Aave by reading this article by iPor. So check it out, okay? Moving on. So yesterday I did a video on Rails Finance and troves and so forth, like the trove of basically I did it on redemptions. I called it redemption strategies, and basically I was just trying to make people understand that if they are redeemed in Liquidity, it's not a bad thing, okay? And I was talking about you can use this Rails Finance to kind of look at it, and then they kind of jumped in on my video. So my video's here. They jumped in on my video and they added some context and some further information, which is very valuable. So you can actually open up the trove. So I've got it right here. So this is a trove that I've just found that had a redemption. It's not the same one I did in the video, so you can't compare it. But anyhow, so here's a trove here. And basically, if you click this thing here, so this will be up, right? And you see token economics. You click that. You can see that this trove was redeemed in the past, and it made a profit of $300 from the redemption. And at today's value, because US, what do you call it, the RETH is up in value since that time, it's about $500 at today's value. And then if you go down to the actual redemption event, you can click this thing here, open it up, and you can get all kinds of details on this. So this is fantastic. I'm very happy. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you can kind of read through this and find out whether or not you like this. Now you do notice that these numbers don't match what the numbers up here, and that's because there were 2 redemptions, right? And if you add them up, then you will see that they probably add up to the same number at the top. But yeah, so you can read through all of this detail, and you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on and how redemptions are. But I still think my video is valuable and useful because it does explain why specifically it talks about, if I go, it talks about how to regain your collateral in a profitable manner. So you can watch my video, you can read this, you can check out Rails Finance and Liquidity, Bold, and so forth. Okay, moving on. So here I got this guy here. He's got 2 tweets out today that are pretty ragey. I've followed him for a little while, and I've liked most of his content, but today he seems a little bit angry. And I think it's because he bought tokens. He's speculating on price movements with assets he's not comfortable losing. So here's what he says. That's it. I'm quitting crypto. Now, I've seen this before, and maybe not from him, but I've seen people say this before, and then they continue tweeting, right? So it could be just sarcasm. It could be just rage, it could just be clickbait, what have you. But we'll see. Okay, so Adavark89 says, I'm quitting crypto. I invested $186,282 into Mega ETH sale, and that turned into a mega rug. Again, we were talking about rugs yesterday, and what is a rug and what is not a rug, and so forth. And then they took my money and locked it behind a TGE KPI that they can't even reach. So they took basically, unless the Mega ETH has those KPIs we talked about, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, then he will never get his money out, right? And he was like, "I'll lucky to ever get my money back. I'm done with this space." And then you look at his the chart of the Mega ETH. It's like only down. It's pretty scary and bad. But mind you, this is, Mega ETH was live for what, like 2 days, 1 day, or something like that. And this is like all pre-market trading, so on Hyperliquid. So you can't really look at the past chart and be like, yeah, it's only down, because this is all pre-market stuff. And I don't really like to look at charts from the past. The chart, it is only down still if you look at the chart from launch, but it's not as big of a chart. It was only down as this guy. Okay, so there's that. You can check it out, think about it. But here he has his other tweet. And again, he's talking about something, Aztec. I don't know what this is. I never looked at it. I didn't participate in this. And then he's got a chart on Binance of only down as well. And he's like $217 million in funding, 180 million FDV, work of art Aztec. So now here he is again, like raging or dunking on Aztec for having a terrible chart even though they raised $200 million, right? So he's got valid concern here. He's not wrong, but I hope he doesn't continue to just be, this is his meta, this is his thing, just trying to dunk on stuff. I was talking to, in my community, I've got this secret community where it's just like OGs and stuff like that, and we talk about crypto things. I was talking about this one ex-influencer who's basically, his entire meta is trying to dunk on another individual. So he's just every post, every tweet he tweets is like, look at this guy, look at what he did, look what he did, look what he did, look what he did, look at him, look at him, look at him. And it's like, if your entire meta is that, I think you've made some mistakes. Maybe you put too much money into that guy's stuff. You didn't spread yourself out. You didn't be conservative. Maybe you risk too much, and that's why you're so angry. Or you don't even actually put any money, and it's a good way to farm engagement. I don't know. So anyhow, you do what you do on Twitter, but I'd rather people are just like post, like it doesn't have to be all butterflies and sunshine. Like we want this kind of calling out of like bad things, but at the same time you try to balance your mentality, because you don't want Twitter to just be a place where you go and just yell, right? I don't think that's what you want, but I don't think that's healthy. But okay, so moving on. Here we have Frank Chapriro. This is kind of big news today, and it kind of goes back to what Scoopy was saying. So BlackRock has bought some Uni tokens, or say they're going to buy some Uni tokens, and Uni has pumped from $3 up to almost $5. It's down around $1 now. And I just think this is so ridiculous, like, because the Uni token has not changed at all. The investment thesis is exactly the same. The only difference is now some big, huge guy has said they have interest in it. But that doesn't mean, I don't know if they bought it yet or not. And if they did buy it, great. That's great for them. But I'm not going to buy it just because BlackRock says, oh, we're going to buy it. Or if BlackRock already bought it, then it's terrible time to buy it. So I think this is one of the problems we have in crypto, is that like people buy stuff not because of any kind of investment thesis or utility or assessment of the token value or quality. They do it purely because it's news driven. And that's like meme coins. Like this is basically a meme coin result. It has nothing to do with what like the uni token. Now there are some changes to the uni token. There is the fee switch. This did happen recently, but it didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen a day ago. It happened weeks and weeks ago, and it should have started to increase the value of the token over time. But here, what do we see? We see the tokens like crab sideways, and then all of a sudden BlackRock says uni token, and it pumps like crazy. It's just so silliness. Okay, so anyhow, you do you. I'm sure people bought this. I'm sure there are definitely a ton of bots monitoring X, and as soon as BlackRock said uni token buy, these bots sniped it, and then a bunch of FOMO and retail buying, and then whoever bought it up at like $4.5 is now down quite a bit, and so forth. So yeah, you do you, and figure it out and find out what you like. Okay, so let's move on to, why does I have so many on this guy? Okay, so here we have Gabriel Sapiro. This is the one I selected of him today. He says, Trump did everything he could to save the crypto industry with good legislation and regulators, but she don't want to be saved. She belongs to the streets. So I agree with him. Trump did. People can always point and say Trump didn't do this. He could have did more. He fucking rugged 2 meme coins on us. Blah 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 blah. You can definitely point at the bad, but like the thing is, Trump is the president of the United States. He doesn't care about our coins, but he does care about our votes. And he did know that crypto was a prominent voting base in the USA. So he did what he could. He promised that he would try to help, and he did deliver some of the things, or at least some extent of what he could. But you got to remember, this guy's a super rich man. He's already rich. He doesn't care about his coins. He didn't do a lot of research. He's just like crypto, meme coins, Solana, Ethereum, Aave. Okay, go ahead, son. Go ahead, other son. Go ahead, advisors. Do it, and then let's try to get the Genius Acts, because the crypto stable coins is a huge black hole for the US dollar, and it's going to spread the US dollar utility across the world. So it makes sense, and he's trying his best to do it, but he's not going to come with the treasury and buy our bags. You know what I mean? Like he's got more important things to do than just try to pump the bags. So I think what he did was pretty good for the industry. Of course, I'd love him to pump my bags and buy a whole bunch of Ethereum, right? I would love it, right? But, you can't really blame him for the industry. And then we continue to do all kinds of stuff like trade hype and gamble like crazy, and, whether it be perps or poly market betting or whatever. Just all kinds of gambling and like rug pulls and all this kind of crap. So anyhow, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I do agree with Gabriel here in some extent. Of course, there will always. I wonder if there's any comments in here that's like, say, you're a crazy motherfucker. No, I think everyone's pretty down. Yeah, he's been saving her for 2 years now, but we're going down the drain. Yeah. So he's kind of like, trying to help us with his like pinky finger, but he's got all his fingers in all the pies, right? So let's move on. Here we have Stacy Murr. She's talking about pump fun and how terrible this thing is. So the reason why when I first saw this tweet this morning, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about this. I was thinking about, I watched the Daily Gwei by Ceazor yesterday, Ceazor.eth, right? And he was talking about how like meme coins are definitely a net bad. And it just resonates with me perfectly. This is the way I've been thinking as well. And if you've been listening to me at all I've always said like meme coins are just trash. It's just there's so many vectors of extraction that it's just terrible. And that money that is extracted, what happens to it is it leaves the system because it's not decentralized. It's not spread across many people. It's given to one person or a small select group of people. And what do? They cash out that money. Like Pump Fun made hundreds of millions of dollars worth of SOL and sent it all to Binance. What were they doing? They were dumping it all for USDC or USDT and then paying their taxes, probably buying mansions, or I don't know what they did with that money, but it was definitely not a net benefit, right? And one of the things Ceazor said yesterday, which was also resonated with me, is like they can say, oh, but like meme coins are the same as DeFi food coins, like sushi and yam and all those things. But like sushi and yam and all these like meme coin or all these food coins of DeFi summer, what Ceazor said was they brought us DeFi, which is use. But like, what did meme coins bring us except a bunch of insiders, extracting from retail? And like, you can't really blame the insiders. Like, yeah, of course what they're doing is immoral and malicious, but so many people just giving them their money. And then like what happened today with Uni, the Uni token, like that's just people, just trying to like get easy money and not really thinking about what things are. So anyways, let's read through what Stacy says about Pump Fund. Like she's like 83% of all tokens are dead now. So all of those Pump Fund tokens, like almost 90%, are worthless. Why? Pump Fund and low effort meme coins flooded the market. 11 million tokens launched in 2025 alone. 11.6 million tokens. But the issue runs deeper. Okay, let's read through her points. Most tokens launched liquid before they had utility. Nothing to use them for means they die when the hype stops. Exactly. They're pointless. Like they do nothing, right? Extraction cycles from mercenary airdrops and greedy teams. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about here about Pump Fund and how airdrops come into play here, but maybe. Projects with poor tokenomics and coordinated selling pressure from VC unlocks. So again, that's not a Pump Fund thing. That's just, maybe it's just like something else that kind of happened alongside, or basically the people who were playing Pump Fund are also the victims of these two things. Market conditions and massive liquidation events contributed to the problem. I expect tokens with utility and organic revenue to survive 2026. Everything else will eventually disappear. The toxic cycle will filter itself out. So I think she's using Pump Fund to kind of just introduce these 4 ideas of like things that happened recently or in the past year that are kind of bad and so forth. But anyhow, that's it. So let's go on to the next one. Here we have Clouted. Clouted is a part of the ETH strategy team. I like the way he tweets. No nonsense. Let's read what he says. So Vitalik said, nah, actually, we don't care about the L2-centric roadmap. And Layer 0 was like, shit, hold our MF beer. We're about to do an L2-centric shit. And everyone's bullish on Layer 0 when they were bearish on ETH because of value accrual. And now bearish on ETH because flippity floppity. Basically, whatever happens, everyone finds a way to be bearish ETH. This is the lost decade of irrational bearishness on probably the most impactful tech of our time. It's quite literally this simple. ETH is the only properly censorship-resistant, permissionless, composable internet store of value, and that is undervalued in the world we live in right now. I agree with him completely on his simple point, and I would add that like ETH is the most liquid it has the most permissionless liquidity for trading of any asset in the world. If you want to trade anything out there, like except maybe stable coins, right? But like you're not gonna trade USDC for USDT. You might arb the pegs, right? But you're not gonna trade them, right? But like if you hold ETH and you want to sell it, what do? You go to any of the decentralized exchanges. It's there. The liquidity is there to buy and sell. You don't have to ask anyone. You don't have to KYC yourself. You don't have to like wait for markets to open. You don't have to walk into a store and be like, hey, you want to buy my gold? Like none of this. It's just there waiting to be traded. And it's the most liquid of all of the assets in this world. Now, I'm not saying it has the biggest market cap. And like Bitcoin, for example, has way more market cap than Ethereum. But if you want to trade Bitcoin, guess what you got to do? You got to go to a centralized exchange, or you got to use peer-to-peer, or maybe you got to wrap it through some centralized entity and trade it on Ethereum, right? So this is the way I look at it. And then that doesn't even talk about like the ability to permissionlessly borrow versus it instead of selling it. You can open CDPs with Ethereum. There's more capital there than almost anything. Of course, if you want to, use your gold as collateral, what do? You got to make a deal with someone face to face. If you want to use your Tesla, I don't even know how to do that. I don't even think I can like use my stock to borrow. Like you'd have to sit in the bank. You'd have to go in there and talk to someone. You can do it permissionlessly on Ethereum. You can go to Aave or you can go to Liquidity and borrow Bold, or FX Protocol. You can borrow FX USD and not even like pay any interest. It's just like, where can you do this stuff in the real world? It's only in crypto and only on Ethereum. Okay, moving on. So here we have Balancer. Balancer, a little while ago, November 3rd, they got V2 hacked, blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to talk about that, but I do want to mention that claims for the White Hat rescued funds are now open. So if you were impacted by this Balancer hack, you can go to Merkle and you can claim back your portion of the recovered funds from the White Hat hacks. So there's a long thread here that talks all about little things about this hack and basically how this entire thing was calculated. You don't need KYC. You will receive tokens in kind. So check it out. Go and check it out. If you had some lost funds in Balancer, you will be able to go to Merkle and claim back some of those. And who knows, just go and check and you might have tokens in there even though you didn't. I highly doubt it, but it's worth a check. Okay. Last one. I've got this 0.5 protocol. I was talking to friend on Twitter, on Telegram, and he introduced me to this idea. I'm not too keen on it. I wouldn't say I'm against it, but I have no real use for it. But he likes this thing, and we spent a lot of time talking about it, so I thought I would share it with you. It's called 0.5 protocol. I don't have any stake in this. These guys, I've never even talked to them. I'm not paid to mention them. I'm just mentioning it because it's kind of interesting. And it's basically a bridge, a decentralized permissionless bridge between Ethereum and Monero. So if you are trying to think about regaining some of your privacy, then you can kind of check this thing out. And basically you're just going to you turn ETH into XMR, wait a day or so, and then turn XMR back into ETH, and you can send it to a new wallet and kind of get some privacy back in that manner. So you can check this thing out. I'm not suggesting you to invest in this. I don't know I haven't done any due diligence on this. I just basically talked to that guy and he was like, hey, you should check this thing out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to check it out because I don't have the need to use this thing right now. But anyhow, so check it out. And that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting. And thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.